This video will contain spoilers for Your Lie in April, so if you haven't seen it, go away, watch that glorious anime, and come back and enjoy my heartbreak. Hello world! Hello all you men of culture falling in love with 2D girls. I'm Prince Dumi and welcome to my weeb journey. Your Lie in April is an amazing story. It goes without saying that the character art, background and musical scores are all gorgeous and complements the story really well. There's just so much that it does right in how it conveys passion, anxiety, love, mental and emotional trauma, the coming of age journey, and expression. It's an anime that's etched itself deeply within my heart, and I can't do anything to erase the mark it left on me. I may not be a musician, but the way it approaches passion inspires me plenty enough that it translates really well into my drawing and my writing. But it's also not an exaggeration when I say that it also wrecked me for months and gave me serious trust issues with other stories. I love this anime, I love its characters, and there are many episodes that I watch over and over again when I want to pick me up or some inspiration, but man did it really mess me up inside. I'd always been a person who actively avoided any stories that people so much as hinted ended sadly. I'm not a masochist. I don't like stories depressing me. I want to feel good when I finish a book or a series or a movie, and I could never stand stories that left me feeling miserable inside. If a story with a happy ending has a sad journey, I can only watch it or read it if there's enough levity in it to give my heart a break from all of the heartbreak, and characters well written enough to make the journey worth it. And the payoff seriously has to be worth all of the suffering. Let me read you the status I wrote on Facebook straight after finishing Your Lie in April when my emotions were still very raw. If I had known how this anime was going to end, I wouldn't have become so invested in it and its characters at all. But unfortunately, I did get invested. I mean, it pretty much hinted at Kaori's death a lot pretty early. The fact that it kept hinting at it so much made me think that perhaps she'd have a chance to live in some miraculous way, especially when she decided to fight, dream, and take a risky surgery to keep on going instead of just giving up like she was originally going to. She even chose to struggle through the physical therapy, but then she died anyway. And her final moment with Kosei ended up being her crying in his arms on that rooftop and then thanking him when he carried her back down to her room. That really stung. I was frustrated for a few episodes when none of these darn kids would confess what was on their minds, even though a lot was clearly bothering them. Then I was stung even more when Kaori confessed her true feelings in a letter after her death, whereas Kosei still didn't tell her how he felt and now he never can. I'm glad he's made it past his psychological issues and was able to express himself through his music even after losing Kaori. And I'm glad he realized that he has others in his life who have always been there for him. But man, I just wish that Kaori could have recovered and played with him once more like they had wanted. And with the death inevitably coming, I wish they could have both told each other how they truly felt. There was a lot I liked about Your Lie in April, but I wasn't fond of the abusive mother being treated as some sort of loving memory behind all of the abuse. I was frustrated at these kids not being open with each other. And I'm sad about Kaori dying in the end, with so much left unsaid by Kosei and the two of them never getting to perform together again. I need something happier to watch, something that ends happier. As you can tell, I was grieving hard. I never expected a story I enjoyed so much to leave me hurting this much too. It was a very new feeling for me. Here's the status I wrote after 3 days of grieving and processing my thoughts and feelings. Now that I've grieved, I can sum up my final thoughts towards Your Lie in April. My thoughts can be summed up in the words much said to Robin in the second season of the 2006 Robin Hood series.
And just because I love you doesn't mean I can't hate you too.
And those are my feelings after that ending. I love this anime, but I also hate it. I love it enough to watch it again and be inspired by specific moments in the different character journeys. But I also hate it for the unfairness of Kaori's death and all that was left unsaid before it happened. All that can never be said to her because she's gone. It's so darn unfair. She was best girl, so I hate this anime. but I love it too. And after that, I proceeded to spend months suspicious of many stories possibly giving me the same false hope like this one did. I definitely didn't want to have my heart cut out again. Yet something in me had also ultimately changed. While I still didn't actively seek out sad stories, Your Lie in April did make me more open to the beauty that can be found in some of them. Not the overtly morbid and grimdark depressing nonsense that passes itself off as deep writing, but in the beautifully crafted writing that really explores the human mind and emotion and makes you equally feel both the joy and pain of life while bonding you with unforgettable characters in a story that never loses its hold on your attention. If it wasn't for the story, I probably wouldn't have given Anohana or I Want to Eat Your Pancreas a chance. And I love both of them, even though the latter of the two made me feel similarly betrayed, just like Your Lie in April did. Yes, I said betrayal. Kaori's death felt like a serious betrayal to me, and without realizing it, she'd become the second girl I'd ever fallen for, the first being Toru Honda when I was 17. It took me 17 years to fall in love with someone, and it ended up being a 2D girl, and after roughly 11 and a half years of being devoted to Toru and only Toru, I now found myself with 2 waifus. That's kind of a big deal for me. It took me a while to even admit that I had become a 2-woman man. And after Rem and Tsumugi came along, I became a 4-woman man with an additional crush on Itsuki and Miku. Clearly I have a type, and that type is the superior 2D girl. Or maybe I've just fallen really deep into the weeb hole and lost whatever semblance of sanity I had. Nah, it's definitely the first one. But to get back on topic, Your Lie in April may not have been the type of story I would have sought out in the past, but I really can't deny its brilliance, and I don't regret watching it. Sure, there are things about it that I wish were handled better, but after going through all of the stages of grief that it put me through, I've accepted it for what it is and have no issues with calling it a masterpiece. I wouldn't be frustrated with the characters the way I was if it hadn't made me fall in love with them so much. Its musical scores wouldn't evoke so many emotions in me if it hadn't left such a deep impact. Wondering how the characters are doing and handling life wouldn't create such a deep ache in my heart. Even now I still wonder how Kosei is doing, and I'm wishing him, Tsubaki, and Wataru the best. Kaori is my muse and my love, and I am so glad I met her. I'm Prince Dumi, future overlord of the multiverse, and Kaori Miyazono is best girl.